Much cooler. Ray Summers went looking for a hot cup of coffee, and he was amazed at what's perking out there.
In large cities, one expects to find a coffee connoisseur at a place called Jitters. But off the beaten path, far from the lights of Portland or Seattle, what is brewing there? In the land where hay trucks roll, in the land where cattle roam, a cowboy can fill up with more than gasoline. Log truck drivers can do the same. In markets made of logs, along with JoJo's Special Brew. And last winter we saw the announcement, along with the living word, soon you would be able to seek and to sip. So popular is all this on the big sign above an Idaho auto salvage yard. The lodging place in the town of Cambridge doesn't tout the mattresses on its beds, doesn't brag about the remote controls for the TVs or mention any swimming pool, just the Bistro Espresso Shopee. Swell, huh? Or maybe what is happening is best shown at Baker City's Cappuccino Cowboy. If you didn't know better, you would think you were in Manhattan or Los Angeles. A scoop of this, a splotch of that, and golly gee whiz, the finished product out the window. And you are on your way. Perhaps this will be like hula hoops, just a passing fancy. But then again, maybe not. Steam and froth and foam and flavorings, more decisions to be made in a morning than a person used to make in a month. Back when life was simpler. Ray Summers at large.
You know, since Ray doesn't drink coffee and doesn't like to spend money, people's fascination with the fancy mixtures is way beyond his understanding. He's been heard to mutter, seems like a lot of money for a cup of water. You've heard that.
Yeah, from Ray, yeah. Guns on demand. That's the way it seems to some people. Oregon's gun law will change dramatically in a couple of weeks. Coming up at 6, we'll tell you about it. The new law that will make it easier and quicker to purchase a handgun.
And we will be back in 30 minutes. Hope to see you again.
You guys have to feed the cows first thing in the morning?
Yeah, most of the time.
They get their breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you always get your breakfast in the morning?
Not always.
Would you ever have breakfast for lunch or for dinner, maybe?
That's good. Fine.
What about pancakes for dinner?
Like IHOP's $2.99 truly special breakfast special. You get 3 fruit top pancakes, eggs, bacon or sausage, and lots of hash browns. Just $2.99.
Breakfast is a pretty important meal, don't you think?
As my mom says it, breakfast feeds the brain.
It might be smart to have it for lunch or dinner.
Yeah, get all A's.
From the people who brought you one clever idea after another comes the Plymouth Clever Ways to Save sale. Right now, you can buy Plymouth Voyager or Grand Voyager for $0 down and make no monthly payments for 90 days. Or get this low starting price during the Plymouth Clever Ways to Save sale. It's one clever way to save after another.
See your local Northwest Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
What's the best prime rib you've ever had? Was it at a fancy smancy dinner house or over at Uncle Ned's house? Whatever. I'll bet the best prime rib is the one you're about to have at Caro's. We take a thick cut of Midwestern beef and slow roast it so it gets all tender and juicy. Then we slice it just the way you like it and serve it up with all the fixings for just $7.99. I'm Katie for Caro's, and I'll see you here for the best prime rib you ever had. Caro's. Good food and plenty of it.
Mike Donahue and Shirley Hancock. News Center 6.
The Whitewater offensive edges closer to the Oval Office. A top Clinton aide is named, quote, an unindicted co-conspirator. Full coverage tonight of the law and politics behind this. The murders of 2 young brothers. Their mother blamed an intruder. Now police say she is the killer. And Eye on America, a doctor's controversial treatment for pain. Patients swear by it. Critics try to put him out of business.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. The Republican special prosecutor in the Whitewater case is naming a trusted friend and senior advisor to President Clinton as a, quote, unindicted co-conspirator. This is in connection with an Arkansas criminal trial. Bruce Lindsay now stands accused but not indicted in connection with contributions to the 1990 Clinton for Governor campaign. Lindsay flatly denies any wrongdoing. President Clinton supports him. Still unclear what's behind this tactic of the prosecutor. Bill Plant begins our coverage.
Bruce Lindsay is one of the president's closest confidants, and he's been named as an unindicted co-conspirator in connection with one count in the second big Whitewater trial in Little Rock. That means that the government's chief witness in that trial can testify about conversations he had with Lindsay during President Clinton's 1990 run for governor, in which campaign finances are being questioned.
I will have my opportunity to testify in court. Again, it makes absolutely no sense that I would have conspired with them. I publicly disclosed these expenditures.
Lindsay said he would not resign, and the president moved quickly to back up his friend.
He was thoroughly investigated and not charged with ample opportunities. I've got lots of confidence in him. I'm confident he didn't do anything wrong.
In this trial, two former Arkansas bankers are charged with using bank funds to contribute to Mr. Clinton's 1990 campaign for governor. And in the charge connected with Lindsay, with conspiring to hide a $30,000 withdrawal from the IRS. Lindsay says the campaign funds were properly reported. A former federal prosecutor says naming Lindsay an unindicted co-conspirator means the government thinks the Lindsay evidence could help convict in this case.
It's pretty clear that the government wouldn't do this if they didn't think they needed it and if they didn't think that it was effective. And nobody wants to be named an unindicted co-conspirator.
The White House points out that Lindsay was investigated in this case but never indicted. But his naming now as an unindicted co-conspirator opens the door to testimony which could implicate him. Dan?
Bill, this unindicted co-conspirator tactic, does it mean Prosecutor Starr doesn't actually have the goods on Lindsay but wants to turn him to the prosecution's side or wants to evoke Nixon-Watergate memories? What is the reading there?
Well, Dan, they know that it's a legal tactic, but what they fear is that it's also a political tactic designed to bring the suggestion of wrongdoing just that much closer to the Oval Office. And after a run of good luck that the president's had, the last week hasn't been very kind to him with the Whitewater files, the FBI files, and now this, it could be a political nightmare.
Bill, thanks. On another front, there is the still unfolding story of what was supposed to have been confidential FBI files about top Republicans obtained by political operatives inside the Clinton White House. Bob Schieffer's on Capitol Hill, where that's the subject of a separate new Republican offensive today. Bob, is this another problem with potentially far-reaching political consequences for President Clinton?
Oh, Dan, I think this could be a real can of worms for the administration, because just one day after the Senate Whitewater Committee finished its investigation, a House committee has now opened a hearing into how those highly sensitive, confidential FBI files on prominent Republicans did wind up at the Clinton White House.
The casualness with which this White House has approached many areas of security and protocol reflect, I think, a contempt for process and a disturbing lack of respect for following the rules.
A line of officials from administrations of years past told the committee there was no excuse for the sensitive information even being at the White House.
The review of these 408 files served no apparent purpose. They weren't being appointed to anything.
The files should not have been there and they should not have been reviewed, period.
Committee Democrats tended to agree with that, but saw the whole thing as an election year witch hunt.
But of course, it clearly is just an attempt at a political smear of the White House.
Whatever it was, as the hearing got underway, the White House announced a personnel shakeup and said the political operative who's been running the security office there would be replaced by a career civil servant.
Security-related matters, as they deal with personnel issues, will be handled by career professionals under the reorganization plan.
That won't end it, of course. Senate Republicans plan to open their own hearings into this tomorrow, and they are very dubious of the White House explanation so far. Dan?
Bob Schieffer, thanks. As for the question of what may be in those supposedly confidential FBI files and why anyone might be interested in seeing them, correspondent Jim Stewart has been investigating.
If you have to ask why FBI files are considered so sensitive, then you probably aren't the subject of one. Deep within the bowels of the Bureau's computers are intimate details about 75 million living in dead Americans. Details, according to National Security Analyst Jim Dempsey, about everything.
Medical, credit, prior employment, educational, neighbors.
So if there's dirt on somebody, most likely it'll be here.
There is potentially a lot of dirt there.
The FBI is now trying to determine how much of that dirt the Clinton administration may have been shopping for in 1993 when it asked for summary copies of several hundred security files, including many on Republicans. Using a standard form, the White House sent over 481 requests, checking off the lowest level of report available, a summary of previous FBI inquiries, instead of name check or full field investigation, the highest levels. If they wanted real dirt, the experts say, the White House should have asked for a more detailed name check report, which goes through each of the bureau's 4 computers.
These were requests for copies of prior reports to the White House. These were not requests for so-called name checks, which actually would have dredged up any new information.
And in any case, the Bureau never provides copies of the highly personal questionnaire most government employees fill out, nor does it share its gossip-filled field agent reports, which are stored back at headquarters. The White House insists this was no fishing expedition and that officials there needed the files in order to document who got security passes. Security analysts say that based on everything that's known so far, either that's true or someone over there was looking for dirt, only they looked in all the wrong places. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the murder of 2 young children. After an investigation, police charge their mother. And Eye on America. One doctor's controversial prescription for chronic pain. Mega doses of narcotics.
Fibercon or Metamucil? Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
Jerry West and the Big O rediscovered the power of Anacin.
For a towering headache.
Regular strength Bayer, Bufferin, or even Tylenol can't work like Anacin.
With Anacin, I'd still be playing.
That's the Coos.
The power of Anacin for towering headaches.
If you've been drinking Ensure, there's a little something you should know. Nobody, not even Ensure, gives you more protein with less fat than Sustacal. Now, Sustacal can't add years to your life, but it might help add life to your years.
Arrests have been made in 2 of the fires at black congregation churches in the South. 2 black men are charged with arson in the torching last month of a Baptist church near Whiteville, North Carolina. And a white teenager has confessed to starting a fire last month at a black church in Lumberton, North Carolina. The accused in that case is a volunteer firefighter, and officials say race was not the motive. What could make a mother kill her own children? 2 years after the infamous Susan Smith case in South Carolina, the question is being asked again, this time in Texas. Correspondent Scott Pelley has the story.
The knife attack on Damon and Devin Routier was particularly savage. The boys, ages 5 and 6, were stabbed again and again while sleeping in the living room of their suburban Dallas home. Their mother, Darlie Routier, was also wounded. She told police a stranger in dark clothes broke in and attacked for no apparent reason. But late last night, after a 2-week investigation, it was Mrs. Routier who was arrested and charged with the murder of her sons.
The crime scene tells a story, and it tells a hard story, and our thing is that story's not the same story that she's telling.
Her husband was asleep upstairs with an infant son. Mrs. Routier says she and the boys fell asleep watching TV. During the attack, she says the man tried to slash her throat, but she can't describe him.
She claims she struggled with this man, but she couldn't give any more of a description than that?
That's correct.
Did that seem odd?
Yes.
Sources close to the investigation say that the cut across Mrs. Routier's neck is superficial and bears none of the viciousness of the attack on her boys. Sources also indicate police believe they have found the murder weapon, a knife, inside the house. Today, relatives came to her defense. Cyrilda Routier is her mother-in-law.
Darlie didn't do it. She loved those kids. You would love to have this person in your family.
At home, in a card Darlie Routier left for well-wishers, she wrote, "We need to catch this animal."
How strong is your case, Sergeant?
You don't charge somebody with capital murder, especially in the killing of 2 children, without being absolutely sure of what you're doing.
In 2 weeks, a grand jury will decide whether she should stand trial. The state will ask for the death penalty. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Rowlett, Texas.
The first tropical storm of the season brought heavy rain today to the Carolina coast. Tropical storm Arthur is about 100 miles off Cape Hatteras, moving northeast. Highest sustained winds, 40 miles an hour. The storm is expected to weaken overnight.
When I was young, you and Mom made sure I ate right.
Well, you were my little girl.
Well, today we're listening to our doctors and taking better care of our health with Ensure.
Ensure is recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure has all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between. Ensure. To your health, Dad.
To our health.
Now, Ensure has a new advanced formula with even more nutrients.
Get a headache, and you could take 4 Advil in the course of a day. Or you could take 6 Tylenol. On the other hand, you can take just 2 Aleve. Says so on the label. It's your choice.
Aleve. All day strong, all day long.
Discover the feeling of Fixodent Fresh. A stronger, longer hold. A more secure, fresh approach to wearing dentures. And the fresh sensation gives you the confidence to live life without limits. Try a fresh approach.
Partly cloudy, 54 degrees. Seems that diets low in saturated fat and cholesterol and high in sources of fiber.
High in sources of fiber, like Quaker toasted oatmeal, may help reduce the risk of heart disease.
Some people have somehow missed the latest news. So when they eat Quaker toasted oatmeal, made with 100% natural whole grain Quaker oats, they remain unaware of all it could do for them. They just eat it because they like the way it tastes. Quaker toasted oatmeal, your other oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
She can get a facial, a massage, even a nose job free. And guess who's paying for it? You are. 48 Hours investigates Thursday.
A fighter jet practicing for an air show crashed today in the suburbs of St. Louis. It happened in Beth Alto, Illinois, 24 miles northeast of St. Louis. The Navy FA-18 was being flown by a McDonnell Douglas pilot who was performing acrobatic maneuvers. The plane hit a house and set it on fire. 1 death is reported, apparently the pilot. In the past, for many young African Americans, a career in the U.S. military seemed a very attractive option when there were few others. But times are changing, and the U.S. Armed Forces are facing tough competition in their effort to fill their ranks. National Security Correspondent David Martin has our report.
In the $4,500 category, Mr. John Turner.
An award-winning high school senior, John Turner comes from an Air Force family and likes the military. He could make a recruiter's day, but it's not going to happen.
I plan to go to Dartmouth College, which is an Ivy League. That turns out a lot of doctors, and hopefully go to their med school as well.
Many young blacks at this high school in the District of Columbia are making similar decisions.
I've seen a decrease in the number of the students who, in fact, go off into the service.
In 1989, the last year of the Cold War, 54% of the young black males surveyed said they planned to join the military. Today, that number is down to 32%.
The military's most dependable pool of potential recruits is evaporating. The armed forces won't take kids who don't graduate from high school and are finding it harder to recruit the ones who can afford to go on to college.
The black underclass is increasing, but so is the black middle class. And that means that the group that the Army and the other services will recruit from is being squeezed.
Squeezed down to graduating seniors like Isaac Johnson who aren't going to college.
There are like few jobs for black males today, so that's why I'm going into the Army.
So you still sort of view the Army as your best shot?
Yes.
Richard Offutt thought the Navy might be his best shot. But then he thought again about where that shot might take him.
I couldn't see myself going to a different country and fighting their battles and fighting their wars, and I still have wars here at home that I have to fight for.
The Army is spread out in some very undesirable locations. Haiti for one, Bosnia for another. It was in Rwanda. It was in Somalia. These are not great places to be.
In the past, the armed forces have simply increased advertising and recruiting budgets to make up for lost ground. But the competition is getting stiffer. And for many young blacks, the Army is no longer the way to be all they can be. David Martin, CBS News, Washington.
The U.S. Senate today heard directly from members of the so-called Lost Battalion of Vietnam, first disclosed in a recent 60 Minutes investigation. These are 500 Vietnamese commandos secretly recruited by the U.S. during the war to infiltrate North Vietnam. The U.S. government at the time told their families they were all dead and stopped paying salaries and benefits. Many did die, either in combat or captivity, but 200 survived and are now seeking compensation. Another potentially important discovery tonight in the battle against AIDS. Several teams of researchers say they have now identified at least one and possibly three ways the AIDS virus achieves a chemical foothold to defeat the body's defenses and invade human cells. This insight could point to new ways of locking the virus out. Coming up, Eye on America. How far can a physician go to prescribe narcotics for patients in acute pain?
As Surgeon General, he fought for us and warned us.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now he wants to help us through one of the most difficult moments in life. The moment you or a loved one face a serious diagnosis. C. Everett Koop and Time Life Medical are introducing individual videos with workbooks that help you better understand your medical condition.
It's really a very simple idea. No prescription is more valuable than knowledge.
Time Life Medical at your pharmacy now.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
Steve Young here. You know, Crispy Wheaties and Raisins has plump raisins, sweet flakes, and an incredible crunch. I love the crunch.
Good crunch. Bad aim.
Come crunch time, there's only one. Crispy Wheaties and Raisins.
Got any Tylenol, Jill?
Oh, when did you switch to Tylenol?
When my doctor told me some pain relievers could irritate my stomach.
Really? Pain relievers?
Yeah, my doctor said that aspirin and even ibuprofen can sometimes irritate your stomach.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. But Tylenol doesn't, and it works great.
To avoid the chance of stomach irritation, Tylenol is the pain reliever recommended most by doctors.
How's your stomach?
Stuffed.
Oh.
Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
If you're considering Zantac 75 for heartburn, consider this first, Pepsid AC. Both Pepsid AC and Zantac 75 can be taken after dinner to relieve heartburn, and 12 hours later, both are still controlling acid, so you can sleep. But read the labels. Here's the difference. You can take Pepsid AC to stop heartburn before it starts. Zantac 75 can't claim that. Before or after, you can be heartburn-free with Pepsid AC.
How smart is your car? You'll be amazed at what the cars of the future will be able to do. See what it's like to be behind the wheel of a smart car tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
In tonight's Eye on America, an advanced look at the ethical and medical issues involved in an impending decision that could cost a doctor his license to practice. The key question, how far can a doctor go in prescribing narcotic drugs to relieve chronic pain, a condition affecting up to 50 million Americans? Peter Van Sant has the painful facts on both sides.
When I get up in the morning, I can barely move.
Isel Gerganis is a casualty of a failed back operation 10 years ago, which has left her in searing pain.
It ruins your life. You have no life.
Each day, Isel fights off that pain by taking up to 50 powerful narcotic painkillers, including morphine. And instead of going back to bed in a drug-induced stupor, she undergoes a striking transformation.
This is a nice fabric. And
remarkably, Isel Gerganis is able to function normally, taking levels of narcotics that would cause addiction, disorientation, or even death to the average person. A large body of medical research has found it's because narcotics work differently with sufferers of chronic pain. There is no drug euphoria.
When I take medication, I don't feel anything except relief. I've just taken 120 milligrams of morphine approximately an hour and a half ago. I think that you can see that I'm perfectly fine.
Isel is one of 220 patients who have relieved their pain by taking enormous amounts of narcotics prescribed by Dr. William Hurwitz.
If it takes 1 pill, or it takes 100 pills, or it takes 1,000 pills, that's what it takes.
It is talk like this that is threatening his career.
The Virginia Medical Board has suspended his license, claiming excessive prescribing of narcotics may have caused 2 deaths and poses a threat of drug overdose to his other patients.
Many people think you're nuts. They think the only difference between you and that drug pusher on the street is the doctor in front of your name.
I prescribe these medicines in a way to relieve people's pain. The patients who come to me tell me that they're often at the verge of killing themselves.
But John Hasty, who oversees the Virginia Medical Board, says the board believes Dr. Hurwitz's prescribing practices are dangerous.
I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that that's very excessive.
But Dr. Hurwitz has a whole slew of patients who have been taking narcotics in what you consider to be excessive numbers who are just fine.
But we also have 2 people that are deceased.
The medical board says those 2 people, a 37-year-old woman and a 36-year-old man, died of drug overdoses. Dr. Hurwitz claims the woman committed suicide and that the man died of internal bleeding. Hurwitz sees no reason to alter his prescribing practices.
One patient, 24,690 pills over 12 months. Another patient, 81,584 pills over 19 months. That sounds like enough drugs to sedate an army.
That's a lot of pills. However, patients become tolerant to these medicines when they take them over time.
Some of the nation's most prominent pain specialists, including Dr. James Campbell of Johns Hopkins Hospital, say Dr. Hurwitz is right, that chronic pain patients build up tolerance, which requires higher doses to relieve pain, but at no greater risk.
These medications can be taken safely. No physician or government agent or anybody else can simply look at the number of pills a patient is taking and come to a conclusion about whether or not that dose of medication is excessive.
Aren't you worried that if you're wrong, you're going to sentence hundreds of people to agonizing pain?
No, I'm not. And I can't believe that there's only one person in the entire United States that can manage the pain of those people.
I am working, paying taxes, raising a child. Don't take my life, please.
The final word will come from the Virginia Medical Board. Is Dr. Hurwitz compassionately helping his patients, or is he recklessly contributing to their deaths? In Richmond, Virginia, I'm Peter Van Sant for Eye on America.
Dr. Hurwitz appears before the medical board in Virginia tomorrow. We'll report to you the outcome when the board reaches a decision.
Lovely barbecue, Rufus.
This is a delightful concoction. It's Crispix Mix, savory barbecue style.
Do I detect a subtle hint of paprika?
I'd die for the recipe.
Don't. Just put some Kellogg's Crispix cereal in a bag along with the savory blend of spices and shake it up. Don't even need to turn on the oven. Ain't nothing easier.
I'd do one thing different. What's that? I'd put it in a prettier bowl.
Shake up your next barbecue with Kellogg's Crispix Mix Savory Barbecue Style recipe.
Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Time.
People today are living longer and healthier lives. And at Nature Made, we like to think we've been a part of it.
Looking for good time.
As the makers of vitamin and mineral supplements that are recommended by pharmacists more than 1,000 times a day. Nature Made, recommended by pharmacists, made for a lifetime.
Introducing Correctol Herbal Tea Laxative in silky honey lemon and rich cinnamon spice. All the gentle overnight relief a woman's body needs. Correctol Herbal Tea Laxative.
Pedigree Little Champions is perfect for my Little Champions. All the beef in Little Champions has gone through the USDA inspection process. The proteins contained are high quality, and they're the building blocks for good nutrition.
Pedigree, developed with vets, recommended by top breeders.
There are times when you don't want caffeine. Caffeine-free Diet Coke. All the cola you need. and none of the caffeine.
Russian President Boris Yeltsin and his communist rival, Gennady Zyuganov, agreed today to hold their runoff election July 3rd. Yeltsin got another break today when ultranationalist Vladimir Zhirinovsky said he will not endorse the communists. In Japan, conventional wisdom says that country is unified by shared values and a group ethic. In short, no rugged individualists to stand out from the crowd. Well, conventional wisdom is wrong. Tokyo correspondent Barry Peterson has the picture proof to make your hair stand on end.
In Japan, conformity is the height of good manners. Whether you're a commuter or a schoolgirl, people usually try to look alike. But look again. And how about this? Or this? I stand out in a crowd, she says. My friends see me from a long way off. It's a sign of fashionable times in Japan. Almost half the women in their 20s have dyed hair, and so do many young men. All doing the same thing to, you guessed it, be different. The Japanese think changing their hair color can give them a more Western look. But for some, once they start changing, they can't stop until they've remodeled their whole face.
Little bit liposuction.
That's keeping plastic surgeon Fumihiko Umezawa busy with women who shop for new faces in celebrity magazines.
She wants to be the face of
Yes.
Brooke Shields.
Because she looks nice, so I change it like this. Eyes, nose, chin.
So now she looks very American.
Yes.
One person's fashion is another person's poison. Conservative right-wingers think dyed hair is unpatriotic. They forget their Japanese spirit, he says. Their parents should scold them. And as college kids looking for jobs find out, a lot of prospective employers agree. Mia Wada applied for a job as a waitress.
When I'm having an interview, the guy was looking, not looking at my eye, he was looking at my hair. Like, oh my God.
The old dearly hope this rebellion against looking Japanese will soon end. But what's ending, respond the young, are centuries of conformity, finally surrendering to the looks and the ways of the West. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Tokyo.
And that's part of our world tonight. First thing tomorrow, CBS This Morning. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. Good night.
Next time you take in a movie, watch carefully. Everybody's lighting up.
Care for a cigarette?
Who's behind smoking on the big screen? Tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
CBS News.